Color. Ready, cut. Please now welcome Charge d'Affaires Jennifer Savage for her formal remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this chilly day. Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade Simon Kaya Moyo, Minister of Primary and Secondary Education Honorable Paul Navima, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of Parliament, permanent secretaries and government ministries, Your Worship, the Mayor of Harare, Councillor Bernard Manyanyeni, representatives of political parties, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Allow me to start by reflecting on the tragic loss of the lives of Color Sergeant Stanley Mugunzwa and Nelson Dube, victims of the explosion in Bulawayo on June 23rd. These lives were lost in the line of service, but that does not undo the damage done to those that they left behind. Our hearts go out to them and to those injured, and our hopes go with those who survived. We also mourn the loss of 2-year-old Professor Lumbe, who died a heinous, unthinkable death last month. We hope that justice proceeds swiftly in both cases to prevent further attacks and loss of life. This is why the peace pledge that many of the contesting political party leaders have signed is so welcome. We echo your call for an end to violence directed at any party or candidate. Now let me turn to hope, aspiration, and positivity. And like our Italian colleagues did at their party, we'll work a little music into the program as well. 3 years ago, one of our most creative, intellectual, and inspiring entertainers, Lin-Manuel Miranda, opened a show on Broadway called Hamilton, an American Musical, about the life of American founding father Alexander Hamilton. Our theme today is Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And Alexander Hamilton lived in Philadelphia, the very first capital city of our nation, from 1790 to 1795. While historians debate Hamilton's true character, in the play, he was discouraged from speaking out, getting involved, or taking any courageous action by the far more cautious fellow founding father, Aaron Burr. Despite the challenges of the times, and despite Burr's attempts to extinguish his enthusiasm, Hamilton was determined to seize the moment and do the right thing. This brings us to an excerpt from one of the most famous songs from the musical. And recognizing that the phrase "my shot" may not translate well across cultures, I hope you'll indulge us in employing a bit of American English today. We are not celebrating the violence of revolution. Rather, Hamilton taking his shot signifies seizing an opportunity and taking a chance to speak out and move our nation forward, just as we saw so many here do peacefully last November.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot.
By not throwing away his opportunity, what young Alexander embodied was hope. On July 4th, 1776, the Continental Congress met in the great city of Philadelphia and adopted the Declaration of Independence. Our forefathers were calling for change. They were young, scrappy, and hungry. They found their voices, and they found hope. Here in Zimbabwe, independence was won 38 years ago, but freedom from oppression did not immediately follow until last November. The people of Zimbabwe found their voices and dared to hope. More than at any other time in recent history, the people of Zimbabwe have more freedom to speak their minds, more freedom to dissent, more freedom to voice their own vision for the future of Zimbabwe. This new freedom of expression is monumental, and it represents a fundamental change for human rights in Zimbabwe as long as the leaders and institutions protect it. Look, I know that times are difficult and so many Zimbabweans are struggling, but I have to reflect on those days last November when the excitement was palpable here. There may be moments when we feel discouraged, but let's try to hold on to the optimism we all felt in those days. In the play, the character of Hamilton's sister-in-law looks around at a nation in the midst of very painful change, and she chooses hope over fear and despair. She sings, look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. But where does hope come from? It comes from dreams of something better, from believing that change is possible. We have witnessed some promising signs of change. President Mnangagwa has called for free, fair, and credible elections. We have seen the political opposition hold rallies in ruling party strongholds. We have seen state media shift from antagonistic to curious about the diplomatic community. And we have heard that Zimbabwe is open for business. Sometimes change is dramatic and swift. At other times it is gradual, plodding. It wearily fights an uphill battle. The hangover of past sins rests heavy on the people of Zimbabwe. I know that many of you are asking, we have found our voices, we have found hope, but have we found faith? Do we believe that the change we are seeing is fleeting or lasting? The faith and confidence of the people cannot be restored with a few isolated statements. It is not one simple stanza that sticks with you from a song. It will take more than one stanza to convince the people that the power of the vote lies in their hands. It takes a chorus, multiple voices, all singing the same lines together. It takes a repeated refrain, a line that appears over and over again, such as this: Zimbabwe, let us not throw away this shot. What an incredible opportunity you all have, particularly those of you in public positions, to restore public trust in the leaders and institutions of this great country that by all rights should be leading Africa in the 21st century. Seize that opportunity, make your stanza a refrain, tell people over and over again that their will shall be heard. Remind them that Zimbabwe is not throwing away her shot. Turning back to our musical, another compelling moment in the story comes when George Washington told Alexander Hamilton that history has its eyes on you.
Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. Just remember from here on in, history has its eyes. Its eyes on you.
Zimbabwe, you have warmly welcomed elections observers and the media in irrefutable numbers. History and the world do have their eyes on you. This is your chance to show your commitment to democratic principles. At the conclusion of this last song, the playwright puts profound words into the mouth of George Washington, who tells Hamilton, winning is easy, governing is harder. And the government is doing the hard work. There is greater space for democratic discourse today than there has been in decades. Whatever government takes leadership after July 30th must make progress on the ideals that the people of Zimbabwe demand, and free, fair, and credible elections is just one of those demands. Of utmost importance are human rights reforms to include reconciliation and accounting for past sins, a meaningful restoration of property rights, and the repeal of oppressive laws. This goes hand in hand with good governance and harmonizing the laws of the nation with the 2013 Constitution. Finally, Zimbabweans look forward to the economic reforms that will usher into reality the Open for Business sign, including a more efficient bureaucracy and a plan to address the liquidity crisis. As I draw to a close, what do we want Zimbabwe-American relations to look like in the future? We must look beyond targeted sanctions to envision a relationship in which trade and investment flow freely between our two nations, in which American companies thrive in Zimbabwe and Zimbabwean companies thrive in the United States, in which Zimbabwean and American academics work together to resolve the health and environmental challenges of the day, to our militaries working side by side in humanitarian demining operations and in maintaining peace of security. And this is all contingent upon meaningful change in Zimbabwe. Winning is easy, governing is harder. We will be so proud to see Zimbabwe join us as a model of democratic principles. Just like my country, you are young, scrappy, and hungry, and you are not throwing away your shot. Allow me to offer great thanks to our performers here. Clinton, the leader of the Classics, is our General Services Officer, and he puts new meaning to the phrase General Services, I think. If you'd like to hear more from them after the toast, they'll do a few more numbers from that musical about how the United States came to independence 242 years ago, and also a few tunes from the great city of Philadelphia. Allow me also to thank our caterer, Crispy Fresh, and the American companies Pepsi, Pizza Hut, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, who will share a taste of home with us today. And finally, allow me to be the first, before he even arrives, to welcome Ambassador-designate Brian Nichols. In his illustrious career, he has served as our ambassador to Peru, our Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for International Narcotics Law Enforcement Affairs, our Deputy Chief of Mission in Colombia, and in other positions in Washington, Indonesia, Mexico City, and El Salvador. And on top of that, he's a heck of a nice guy. He will arrive in a few short weeks, and our entire community looks forward to welcoming him. Thank you, Tatenda Sionga. And so I would like to ask you to raise your glasses and join me now in a toast to the United States of America and the Republic of Zimbabwe, and to our mutual commitment to the promise of our shared ideals for a brighter future for Americans and Zimbabweans.
And now for his formal remarks, please welcome Acting Foreign Minister Simon Kaya Moyo.
Let me start by thanking you, Chargé d'Affaires of the United States, for your very lucid message you have just conveyed to us gathered here. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomat Corps here present, honorable ministers, deputy ministers, members of parliament, honorable justices of the Supreme and High Courts, Your Worship, the Mayor of Harare, senior government officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and indeed on my own behalf, I wish to extend to you, Madame Chargé d'Affaires, and through you, to the government and the people of the United States, and to all American citizens present here, our warmest congratulations on the 42nd anniversary of the independence of the United States of America. Chargé d'Affaires Savage, as we join you in celebrating this happy occasion, I wish to express my satisfaction that relations between Zimbabwe and the United States of America have significantly improved since the new dispensation was ushered in last November. Although the relations are not where we should want them to be yet, After a long period of estrangement between our two countries, the relationship is certainly moving in the right direction. The fact that in the last 7 months there have been high-level exchanges of visits between our two countries has helped us to understand each other better. We look forward to an increase of these exchanges as they facilitate all aspects of vibrant bilateral relationship. Sajjad Affairs Savage, I'm very much pleased that during the Foreign Minister, Honorable S.B. Moyo's visit to the United States of America in April 2018, the United States administration intimated that the U.S. would want to become Zimbabwe's development partner. That indicates that we both are ready to open a new chapter in our relations. Indeed, the Zimbabwe government seeks to build a partnership of shared prosperity between Zimbabwe and the U.S., and not one of dependency. In that regard, let us build opportunities for trade and investment. The tone has already been set, with a number of American companies sending business delegations to Zimbabwe to explore business opportunities. Let the message go out to U.S. companies that Zimbabwe is truly, as my president says, open for business. The Zimbabwe government is committed to ensuring that the business environment is as friendly as possible. The meetings with investors and fund managers in New York demonstrated a strong desire to bring capital to Africa. There are endless possibilities to link Zimbabwe's vast natural resources and the U.S. portfolio and direct capital investments. We've changed those aspects of our investment laws to now be more attractive and invite and protect foreign direct investment. Investors are henceforth free to deploy their capital as they desire. Sajjad Affairs Savage, I wish to note that even when relations between our two countries reached their lowest levels, the U.S. never completely disengaged from Zimbabwe. To that end, I wish to express the sincere gratitude of the government and people of Zimbabwe for the U.S.'s support to Zimbabwe in several areas, especially in the health sector. The assistance provided through the President's Emergency Program for AIDS relief has served the lives of hundreds of thousands of Zimbabweans. This year alone, the U.S. is providing $260 million to support Zimbabwe's health sector and other areas. For that, we're truly grateful. We thank the U.S. for putting a primacy on lives over ideological differences. Sajjad Affairs Savage, I wish to assure you that even when we differed with the U.S. in the past, which is healthy and expected in any relationship, as long as this does not turn adversarial, we were still proud to share universal values of democracy, respect for human rights, and good governance. You can therefore rest assured that His Excellency President Idi Mnangagwa is sincere in his pledge to hold transparent, free, fair, credible, and non-violent elections on 30 July 2018. It is good that organizations and individuals from the U.S. are among those who will observe our elections. We are free to visit any part of the country as observers, anytime, anywhere, as I've said. We welcome honest and constructive criticism, as from that we shall emerge a stronger democracy at the service of our people. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to propose a toast. And please, can you have your glasses in position? To prosperity and peace for the American people, and to a future better relations between our two countries. Cheers. May I conclude by wishing you, Chargé d'Affaires, personal good health and success in fulfilling your mission here in Zimbabwe. I thank you.
Thank you again, Minister Moyo.